For centuries, sailors in the waters of the Iberian Peninsula spoke of orcas as shadows in the waves, sleek hunters that pursued tuna and sometimes surfaced alongside wooden ships. They were feared by some, admired by others, and often left to their own mysteries. The orca, with its stark black and white body, was a symbol of raw power, a predator perfectly tuned to the sea. Yet in modern times, these creatures are more than passing phantoms. Along the Atlantic coasts of Spain and Portugal, a critically endangered subpopulation, known as the Iberian Orcas, has lived on the edge of survival. Numbering fewer than 40, they thread their lives through the rich tuna runs of the Strait of Gibraltar and wander northward with the seasons. And in recent years, their behavior has shifted in ways that no one had expected. As you continue to watch, kindly subscribe to our channel for more news content. It began quietly in the summer of 2020. Sailors reported strange interactions, orcas following their boats, circling, nudging at rudders. At first it seemed playful, a curiosity more than a threat. Crews marveled at the size and intelligence of the animals that seemed fascinated by the spinning blades beneath the waterline. But as that season wore on, the reports multiplied. Yachts limped back into harbors with broken steering. Fishermen described long minutes of helpless drifting after their rudders were snapped clean away. No one could recall such a pattern before. This was not random mischief, it was a trend. Scientists debated the meaning. Some suggested that the orcas were simply playing the way young dolphins toss seaweed or slap their tails. Others proposed something darker. Perhaps a matriarch or juvenile had once been injured by a boat, sparking a chain of learned behavior. Orcas are social, and their culture, passed down through generations, is as important as their genes. A single pod can invent a habit and spread it like wildfire. By 2021 and 2022, the encounters had grown bolder. Dozens of sailboats each summer were reporting damage, many requiring tows back to port. The orcas, usually juveniles, seem to prefer sailboats between 9 and 15 meters long, small enough to manipulate, large enough to provide challenge. They would approach in groups, pressing their heads or flanks against the rudder, sometimes coordinating pushes as though testing their strength. For the sailors, it was a terrifying ordeal. A boat without a rudder is like a bird without wings. Helpless in open water, some captains radioed distress calls as the dark fins rose and fell around them. Others tried banging on hulls, blasting loud music, or even dropping firecrackers into the sea, yet the orcas often returned undeterred, as if amused by the disruption. The incidents drew headlines around the world. Were the whales revolting against humanity? Was this revenge, rebellion, or a passing fad in the mysterious culture of a few young orcas? The debates raged, but the whales offered no answers. Kindly click the subscribe button below and share. Comments are also welcome in the comments section below. In the years that followed, a few rare cases escalated into full sinkings. When orcas struck the rudder with enough force, water could find its way in through cracks or loosened fittings. Hulls were breached. In 2023 and 2024, scattered cases emerged where boats filled with water faster than crews could control. Still, in every known event, the people aboard were rescued. The orcas never showed interest in harming the humans themselves. They vanished into the sea once the boats were disabled. These incidents unsettled coastal communities. Sailing schools added new safety briefings, insurance companies revised their policies, and maritime authorities issued advisories. Maps marked orca interaction zones, and sailors were instructed to cut engines, take down sails, and wait if the animals approached, hoping to minimize excitement. Yet nothing fully stopped the encounters. The story reached a new chapter in September 2025. Off the sandy stretches of Costa da Caparica, south of Lisbon, the sailboat Oceanview left the harbor on what should have been a routine trip. 5 people were aboard, enjoying the late summer sun as their yacht glided past the beaches of Font de Telha. Then the water stirred. Dorsal fins rose, first one, then several. Young orcas approached, moving with practiced precision. They circled, dived, and then struck. The first impact jarred the rudder. The second cracked its housing. The crew felt the shudder through the deck as the steering gave way. They tried to maneuver, but the wheel spun uselessly in their hands. Beneath them, the Orcas returned again, pressing their weight into the vulnerable spot where metal and wood met sea. Within minutes, water began seeping in. Pumps were no match for the tide. Another sailboat rushed to offer a tow, lines straining between the two vessels, but it was too late. Oceanview was listing, bow rising as the stern filled with water. The crew sent their distress call, and rescue services scrambled. A nearby tourist boat drew close to help, while the Portuguese Maritime Authority coordinated from shore. All 5 aboard were pulled to safety. They watched from the rescue boat as Oceanview, once proud, sank bow first into the Atlantic, vanishing into bubbles and foam. For them, the sea would never feel the same. On that very same day, in Cascais Bay just a short distance north, another sailboat reported Orcas battering its sides. That boat survived, though shaken and damaged. 2 attacks, hours apart, confirmed that this was no isolated encounter but a continuing pattern. The unanswered question is, why do they do it? To this day, no one knows for certain. Some researchers point to play, a social game among juveniles honing their skills. Others whisper of trauma, of an injury in the pod's past that turned curiosity into fixation. Perhaps the Orcas are teaching, passing down a strange cultural quirk that, like human fads, may one day fade. What is certain is that these interactions have altered the relationship between people and whales along the Iberian coast. Mariners who once saw Orcas as distant hunters must now navigate waters where the creatures may approach, investigate, and even dismantle their vessels. For the Orcas themselves, the behavior is not malicious. No human has been hurt. The whales seem uninterested in the people clinging to life rafts. Their focus is always the same: the moving parts of the boat, the rudders, the vulnerable seams. And so the sea holds its mystery. A critically endangered pod of fewer than 40 whales has, for reasons still unknown, chosen to make the vessels of humanity part of their story. And each summer, as the tuna run swells and the whales return to Iberian waters, sailors must ask themselves, what will the Orcas do next? Kindly share and subscribe and stay tuned for other news items as we post for your viewing pleasure.